Welcome to our program on Kardec Radio.
Hi friends, we are back today with our book Living Spring. Today we're going to do chapter 13. I'm Rihanna Willemsen, I'm your host. Let us set out. I will rise and return to my Father. And it's in Luke 15 verses 18, and it was Jesus. When the prodigal son decided to return to his father's arms, he actually decided to rise inwardly. Let's talk about this first verse before we continue. Emmanuel is telling us that when the prodigal son decided to return to his father, he turned inwardly. He says he rise inwardly. What he's trying to tell us is that if we are looking for our Father, we should go inward. We should go into ourselves, into the silence, so that we can be with God, like in a prayer state. To leave the dark cave of idleness and head for the field of regenerative action. Again, Emmanuel says to leave the dark cave of idleness, not doing anything, and to the field of regenerative action, which means to serve, the action of serving, to get up of the cold ground of inertia and seek the heat of reconstructive activity. Again, Emmanuel is telling us to be active, to be in action, to work is a reconstructive activity, to work for the good. To leave the valley of indecision and climb the mountain of spiritual constructive toil. He says the valley of indecision. How many times do we know what we have to do, but we are indecisive? We are not putting our will, like Emmanuel is explaining to us in Thorn Life, towards actually going out and do the action. He says here, to escape the darkness and enter the light, to leave the negative behavior behind and plunge into the reconstruction of his ideals. And he's talking about the ideals that we have so that we can be one with God's will. He stood up and left the paternal home. He left his home. However, prodigal son and daughters of life, such as we are, how many of us, after having failed at the most valuable opportunities, glamour for the Lord to help us in our accordance with our unworthy desires, so that we can be content and happy? This is a very important piece. He says, how many of us, when we have failed, are not calling for God's help? And when we do, we actually, and then he says, accordance, clamor for the Lord to help us in accordance with our unworthy desires, so that we can be content and happy. And he's asking, and he's actually talking about worldly desires that we all still have in some form, because we are asking for things that we don't need. And this is where it comes in for us to not be part of things. And I think it is in Living Spring, chapter 46. And I'm just going to go there quickly for us. Chapter 46 explains it beautifully, that passage. It says, let me just make sure. Okay, he says it's self-liberation. It's chapter 47. Please feel free to go and read it. He says, for we brought nothing into this world, and we can take nothing when we leave it. It is in Living Spring, chapter 47. And then he says, glamour for the Lord, to help us in accordance with our unworthy desires, so that we can be content and happy. We think that worldly things sometimes will make us happy. We think if we have a house, if we have this, or if we have that we will be happy. Happiness is the inner job. It's a state of being. It's a state of practicing to focus on all that is good, regardless of where we are or where we are going. We need to know to focus on the good and also to be thankful. Gratitude. He says, how many of us have willingly descended into the abyss, and once in it, drowning in the dark current of our passions, beg for the presence of the Almighty through His messenger, so that they may attend to our whims. How many times are we asking our spiritual guides for things that we don't need, to help us out of some situation? He says, drawing in the dark current of our passion. And then to continue, it says, but if we are really committed to our self-improvement, let us stand on our own 2 feet and press forward. He's asking us to get up. Let us stand on our own 2 feet and let's do the work without complaining. We always have people helping us. We always have Spirit helping us. But let's do and focus on the good things. Any improvement requires effort. So if we want to improve, if we want to evolve, we need effort and repetition. The view at the top requires climbing the mountain. To have the view, the understanding, we need to do it one step at a time, climbing this mountain. If we aspire to a higher life, let us go forward following Jesus' standards. I will rise, said the young man in the parable. Yes, let us rise. So today Emmanuel is inviting us to stand up, to rise in ourselves as well. Through our thoughts, let us rise, let us have higher thoughts, higher expectations, and let us do better. And let us go out and don't ask for things that we don't need, but to focus on all that is good and that is important for our higher self. Thank you so much for joining me. May you have a wonderful and blessed rest of the day. Thank you. Bye-bye.